When you're injured or lose a loved one in an accident, it's the results that matter, and results are what you get with the Brosnahan Law Firm. Whether it's a vehicle accident, wrongful death, or injured child, the Brosnahan Law Firm is the right choice. Call 457-3000.
Perfect.
Perfect. Perfect.
Getting the right look at the right price
Perfect.
is always in style at Cost Cutters.
Located in the professional building in the Winona Mall, 507-454-6030.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to From the Dugout here on HBC TV 25. I'm Justin Barrientos, and this is a new show to talk about some of the summer baseball and softball programs in the Winona area. And we'll lead off talking VFW Buddies baseball with head coach Don Freeman. Don,
Perfect.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Let's talk a little bit about you first before we get into the program. You've been involved with Cotter baseball for a number of years.
13 years at Cotter. A little brief history because it's a big, long history because I'm kind of old. And my hometown is Northfield, Minnesota, so I'm not a Winonian, if that's a word.
Winona.
Winona, that's a word?
Yeah.
Okay. And so my hometown is Northfield, Minnesota. Technically, Dundas is where my family was. And high school in Northfield, and graduated 1 year. I can't remember what it was, so long ago, forgot. But then I went to Mankato to play baseball, but I did not make the squad because they're really, really good. So, and that's basically the reason I went there. So I stayed a year and decided college was not for me. So I came back to my hometown and I played town team ball, which in Minnesota is huge. There's about 380 teams in the whole state, biggest in the United States of America, actually. And they're doing a town team broadcast on 533 Fox. So I played, came home, played baseball in a small town called Dundas, Minnesota, between Northfield and Faribault. Okay. About 3 miles, and it was not a very nice ballpark when we started, but if you ever get to Dundas, go to Memorial Field, you'll be shocked. What is this doing here? $35,000 scoreboard. Wow. Seating around, box seating, manicured as nice or almost as nice as Target Field. It'd be a good trip if you're a baseball guy. So then I came to Winona in 1989, and Nick Whaley, a close friend of mine I played baseball against, called me and said, how would you like to help me coach Cotter baseball? I said, well, my job won't let me do that, but I'll come when I can on my day off and stuff like that, and I'll try to get involved. So I got hooked. So I said, the next year, I said to my boss, and Mr. Bud Nystrom, I said, I got to do this. Somehow we got to work this out. And I said, it won't be any Saturdays, but just during the week, leave at 4 o'clock or something like that and go to the ballpark. And so I did. And so I worked for him for 3 years, and then he decided that he'd go back to St. Mary's. Mm-hmm. And Matt O'Brien comes in, not Matthias, but Matt, and he coached for 3 years. And Nick came back, and I applied for the job, and he said, you apply for the job because you'll get it, you deserve it, blah, blah, blah. And I said, I really don't want it, but okay, I applied. And then the activities director, who was Travis Whipple at that point, called and said, we've hired a coach. I said, obviously it's not me, you're calling not congratulating me. He said, Nick decided to come back. And I asked Nick at least 8 times, eyeball to eyeball, are you going to take the job? He said, no, I don't want it, your job. So Nick was at my house the next day on my front porch, and we sat and chatted for about half hour, and he said, the reason I came back is that I thought I needed to coach my son 2 years, because what happened when I was laying in bed with cancer, and I couldn't have done that. I get it, no problem, and I'm glad you're here. And you know, I don't care at all. I'm not bitter or anything. So then he decided to leave. So then I thought, I'm not going to apply. Heck with it. And so I finally got myself to do it, and then I thought, I'm not sure what I'm doing here, but so they gave me the job, and this was my 3rd summer or 3rd year, and it was not a very stellar season.
Well, you had a young team.
We were very, very, very young. We were two eighth graders and some ninth graders and 10th graders, one senior, Jack Gardner. So we got through the season, and then I got a call from one of the players on the Buddies, said, we don't have a coach. And so I called the guy who runs it, the money man, and I know him a little. So he said, are you interested? I said, well, let me talk to you. So I went down and talked to him at the VFW Post, and this was on a Thursday. And I said, I will call you on Monday and say yes or no. You know, because it's a big commitment for the summer, because I like my summers, because that's the only kind of nice weather we have here. It's summer, not winter. And so I decided I had to help, and I'm very glad I did, because it's a great group of kids. I've got 14 Winona High kids and 4 Cotter kids, minus one, because he just tore his meniscus after his ACL.
Oh my goodness.
So he's out, and it's a decent group. We got some players, and we're 15 and 16-year-olds mostly.
Right.
I don't think there's a 17-year-old on the squad, and there can be if their birthday is a certain date. So it's been fun so far. We've got 6 games under our belt, and we are, well, they only count the first game of the doubleheader, so we're 2-2 technically.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about the process of getting into the season, because there's a tryout process.
I had 24 kids come, and I set them all in the dugout, and I said, this is a huge commitment. It's 2 months, practices and games, and if you're not signing up for 100% of this program, you're not, I don't want to keep you and cut some else kid that wants to play baseball. And I said, if you're going to play basketball on Saturdays and Sundays, and we have baseball games, baseball will have preference. And 4 guys bailed right away. So now I'm down to 20. Then a couple more guys thought about it, and they just said, well, this is a big commitment. I really want to do this. So now I'm down to 18. And one kid who I was going to keep was a Cotter kid who, very, very good outfielder for us, a 9th grader, and doesn't hit the ball real well yet, but he will. He's a left-hander. But his arm is so sore he can't throw. So he's not helping me if he plays left field. So I said, take a break, go to see Sport and Spine and get your arm in shape so you're back next year. So now I'm down to 17, and then Charlie got hurt, now we're 16. So it's perfect. So that's just how it was.
All right, just about a minute left in this segment, so let's go through the games that you played yesterday on Monday. You had to come from behind, I believe, in the second game?
We played Faribault, and they got 4 runs in the first inning, and I went. I mean, the first guy's ground ball was in the air, and he threw it away, and then bing, bing, base hit all over the place, and they were like, you know, line drives, but seeing eye line drives. So we're down 4-0, and I just shook my head, and I said to Jake French, my assistant, I said, that's not a very good way to start a baseball game, is it? He said, no, we're in the hole. I said, okay. So our pitcher settled in and gave us 4 strong innings, and we came back 4-2, and then we tied it, and then we went ahead 7-4, and then I took out the starter and brought in Cale Beckman to close the game, because I knew he'd throw strikes. He wouldn't be all over the place, and he did for the most part. He had 1 or 2 hiccups, but so the runners at first and second with 1 out, and a guy had a line drive to the shortstop, and he caught it through the second for a double play, and we're out of the inning, game over. Okay. So it was a perfect way to finish. So we came from behind, and also in the second game we were down 9-3. And scored 7 runs in the bottom of the 7th inning to win that one, 10-9. So it was a good night. I slept really well last night.
Very good.
I like when we win.
All right, and last question here for fans that want to come out. The games that you play are at the Cotter Field.
We're at the Cotter Field, which is right next to St. Mary's Church and School. I don't know if you've been down there, but the ballpark's coming along very nicely, and we've done some work, edging and stuff like that, added some dirt, and the groundskeeper did a really nice job of dragging and stuff like that. So, and there's a lot of seating, a lot of parking, and there's no admission. So come and watch some 15 and 16-year-old guys play baseball that someday may be stars.
Yeah, and your next game is?
Next game is tomorrow night at home at 5 against one of the Rochester teams.
All right, so that'll be Wednesday night.
Wednesday night, yeah.
All right. Well, let's take a break here on From the Dugout. We'll get the player perspective next as Cale Beckman joins us. That's right after this.
It's going, gone! Follow the Long Haul Stadium Power Tour on Softball 360. Each week, join Dakota Vandenberg as the Softball 360 cameras follow the Long Haul Bombers as they put on a spectacular hitting display at Major League stadiums across the country. Softball 360 also provides some of the world's greatest softball tournaments. Check out Softball 360 Sunday through Friday afternoons at 3:30 at HBC TV 25.
When you're injured or lose a loved one in an accident, it's the results that matter. And results are what you get with the Brosnahan Law Firm. Whether it's a vehicle accident, wrongful death, or injured child, the Brosnahan Law Firm is the right choice. Call 457-3000.
And welcome back to From the Dugout. Cale Beckman now joins us. Thank you for being here today.
Yeah.
So now, as we kind of heard, Coach Freeman, coach of the Cotter baseball team, has coached you for a couple years now, and he said that the team struggled a little bit at Cotter. Can you tell us a little bit about what you learned during the season at Cotter and how that kind of pushed you to want to keep going this summer?
So Don really, he's a good balance between fun and taking it seriously, and so after games, even though we lost, he still told us to keep our heads high and to not dwell on it too much. So that helped me, not worry about the last game and just move on to the next one.
And for you in your baseball career, you played Minnesota City prior to VFW. What's it like to make that jump from that kind of team to now the VFW team?
Yeah, it's quite a big jump. The mound's farther, the bases are farther, all that. But playing Cotter really helped me before the season because played, maybe even a little bit higher of a level in varsity where VFW was more 16U. So that helped me more. If I would have gone straight from Minnesota City to VFW, it might have been a little higher, but since I played Cotter, it really helped.
All right, and let's talk about the adversity that you've had to go through over the past couple of years. This season in basketball, you had an arm injury, which obviously hindered what you could do during baseball season. Tell us about that, what you remember about the play during basketball season and how you had to work to get
Yeah, well, the play, I guess I just got tripped up or something and I fell on it funny and somehow broke bones in my arm. So I had to sit out for 3 months, missed the rest of basketball season and the start of the Cotter season. When I came back, I couldn't slide or dive, so that kind of hurt running the bases and playing the field, but I still played and had fun, and now I'm fully cleared, so I can do all that, and yeah.
All right. Well, it also amazed me, not only are you a pitcher, but you also play some catcher and you play other positions as well. Tell me about that kind of versatility and how you can play all those different positions.
I don't know. I guess Minnesota City helped with that. They always move you around a lot, so that helped. And just being athletic, I guess, and knowing baseball and how to play those positions really helps. And it helps me because I can stay in the lineup and, play a lot. So
okay, let's go back just to the injury when you heard that, Cale, and you might have even been at that game because I know these.
I think I'd left early for that. It was later in the game, and then it's a strange thing because Charlie Riley, the year previously, was our number 3 pitcher, and Cale was our 4, and we had Parker Nelton and Daniel Waxhong, who were phenomenal baseball players. So I thought, well, we could just move up Cale and Charlie, but they're both gone, so I got to start the season. And the other scary part was that Cale was my second baseman and Charlie was my shortstop. So I lose 2 position players plus my 2 starter pitchers.
Yeah.
So I went, what a way to start a season. So it was, and he came to, never missed a practice, upbeat as heck. Always had a smile on his face. He'd be playing catch with one hand and somebody'd have to throw the ball with the other. And it was, he just hung around, which is good. Charlie did the same thing most parts. So.
Now, Coach Freeman talked about the games that you played on Monday, and you had to come in and close out one game. Now, I know you as a starting pitcher. How often do you come in to close out or relief pitch?
Yeah, not many. For Cotter, I definitely started every game I pitched. So relieving, it's really not much different in my mind. It's still pitching, so it wasn't too hard for me, but just could throw harder and not have to worry about, stretching my innings out and saving my arm. So.
All right, we got about a minute left in the segment. Are there any goals that you have set for yourself for the VFW season, or to maybe just get ready for next year for high school baseball?
Yeah, I haven't really started off too well hitting wise, so I guess my goal right now is to just get better at hitting and catching and just knowing what to do and all that stuff. So.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us.
Thank
here,
you.
And, good luck the
Thanks
rest
for
of the
having
season.
us.
All right, we're going to take a break here on From the Dugout. When we come back, we'll talk Winstars softball. That's coming up right after this.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Perfect. Getting the right look at the right price
Perfect.
is always in style. At Cost Cutters.
Located in the professional building in the Winona Mall, 507-454-6030.
When you're injured or lose a loved one in an accident, it's the results that matter. And results are what you get with the Brosnahan Law Firm. Whether it's a vehicle accident, wrongful death, or injured child, the Brosnahan Law Firm is the right choice. Call 457-3000.
And welcome back to From the Dugout. We'll now switch to softball and the Winona Winstars with Stephanie Babel, and you're the 14U head coach for the Winstars. Let's talk a little bit about you first. What's your background in softball, in sports in general?
Well, I started playing at the T-ball level. I actually grew up just across the river in Bluff Siding, so that's where I played ball. That's where I learned how to play fast pitch. And then I went to high school at Onalaska Luther High, and that's where I played high school ball then. And softball was my life. I was very passionate about it. I was a pitcher, so I spent a lot of extra time working on my pitching camps and stuff like that. I participated in a lot of pitching camps that were right here in town at St. Mary's. St. Mary's University has a lot of good programs for that. So.
Okay, and then did you pursue anything in sports in college, or was it done after high school?
No, I was done after high school because I went to the tech college here in town, so softball wasn't really an option there. I did play slow pitch for Park and Rec here in town for quite a few years, but then life and busy schedules, I just lost time for that too. But then my daughter was interested in playing softball, so we are keeping it going with her. So.
All right, very good. So, that's one of the things that we talk about when we talk to college level players about how softball is their life, and you just said that. So then when it comes to an end, what is that like for you, or what was that situation like for you?
It was kind of heartbreaking, actually, because I had considered going to Winona State, but being a pitcher, it also kind of limits you as to how often you might get to play, especially coming in at the university level. Most likely I would have been redshirted my freshman year. And I just wasn't interested in pursuing anything academically at Winona State to make it worthwhile for me. So yeah, it was a little heartbreaking. It was, kind of a chapter on my life that had closed for a little while. So this is great, giving me an opportunity to open that back up a little bit in a different way.
Right. So now you had told me that obviously when your daughter got interested, then you kind of get interested in softball as a parent with the Winstars. How did you find the team, and what was that experience like just as a parent for the first couple of years?
Well, she started out in the Park and Rec program, and we were just looking for something a little bit more competitive, because the Park Rec program didn't really have teams. It was just more so for learning the basic skills. And I had heard about the Winstars before, so I had just looked into it and decided that's where we wanted to put her. So when she first started playing, she was at the 12U level. Okay. And we had a great experience the first year. She had a great coach. She learned a lot. She really blossomed in a short amount of time. She's also just a natural athlete too, so she picks things up pretty easy. But yeah, and ever since, we keep coming back with no hesitation. So she has a great time with the Winstars, and it's a lot of fun.
All right. So how did you get involved in the coaching aspect? Because as you said, you hadn't never really coached before.
Yeah.
And now you get thrown into the fire, right?
Yeah, so last year, the 14U coach was also one of the athletic directors at St. Mary's, Nikki Fennern. Yeah. And her family unfortunately moved out of town. She took a different job. And so that left the coaching position at the 14U level open. And my daughter was moving up to that level this year, and so I just volunteered. There was a need. They hadn't had anybody yet when they were getting ready to talk about starting the season, and I have a friend who is on the board, and I just let her know my interest and my background, that I was experienced in playing, and that I would really like to try and step in and help these girls out. So,
if there are any other parents that are watching today that are thinking about, well, maybe I want to be a coach or something someday, kind of explain now how you go from being a parent to a coach and what that transition was like. What are some things that you had to learn in order to become a coach at the Winstars level, and maybe some things that surprised you?
Well, still learning. Learning a lot, which is a good thing. It can be a little intimidating at first to transition from a parent to a coach, especially when you're talking about the dynamic between you and your players. Because a lot of the players know me already as a mom, but now they have to look to me as a coach too. So, just remembering to, just keep on task and keep them motivated and keep them busy, especially girls at that age. Just have to keep them busy so that they don't have a whole lot of time to chit-chat and get distracted. But and I'm learning a lot from my assistant coach too, so he's been a huge help. The Winstars board has been a huge help, giving me every resource that I need. I've just been mostly educating myself by going online and looking up coaching tips. I'm fortunate too, I have a brother and a sister who also coach baseball and softball. So I have been reaching out to them quite a bit too for advice and tips, and they've been helping me a lot too. So.
All right, and from what I understand, you didn't have a whole lot of practices heading into your first event, which was the big event for the Winstars, the Stars and Strikes tournament. How did that go for you?
It was a little rough. We had some pretty big losses, but we also had some really positive things happen that weekend too. It was the first time they'd all played together as a team in a game setting, because we have some girls that play for Cotter, some that play for the middle school, and then we have a couple girls this year that are brand new to the Winstars altogether. It's just, we just need a little bit more time to mesh as a team and find how we all work together. But even just some big improvements from Saturday to Sunday of that tournament, losing by a lot less on Sunday, and having some pretty successful innings, scoring a lot more runs the second day. So we'll get there.
All right, and we have just about a minute left in the segment, but you did get your first win of the season.
We did, yep. That was at the St. Charles tournament this last weekend on Saturday. They secured a win over Rochester 18-3. So, wow. So not only was it their first win, but a pretty big win at that too. So that always helps for morale and attitudes, So that's our goal, is to just go out there and keep trying to win and keep having fun.
All right. Very good. Thank you very much for that.
You're welcome. Thank
you.
All
right, we're going to take a break here on From the Dugout. When we come back, Avery Engbrecht will join us right after this.
Perfect.
Perfect. Perfect.
Getting the right look at the right price
Perfect.
is always in style at Cost Cutters.
Located in the professional building in the Winona Mall, 507-454-6030.
Businesses of all sizes demand results. That's why HBC provides digital solutions for every business, from startups and entrepreneurs to large corporations. HBC is local. Our team of customer service reps and business specialists are your friends and neighbors. HBC will take the time to understand your business and recommend a tailor-made solution. HBC delivers a competitive edge for a competitive price. Let HBC Business Solutions take your business to the next level. Call 888-474-9995 today.
When you're injured or lose a loved one in an accident, it's the results that matter. And results are what you get with the Brosnahan Law Firm. Whether it's a vehicle accident, wrongful death, or injured child, the Brosnahan Law Firm is the right choice. Call 457-3000.
And welcome back to From the Dugout here on HBC TV 25. We're joined now by Avery Engbrecht and a member of the 14U Winstars team. Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you go to school.
I go to the Winona Middle School.
Okay, and you're a multi-sport athlete, not just softball. You like to play other sports as well. What other sports do you play?
I play hockey and volleyball.
Okay, very good. Tell us a little bit about joining the Winstars team. Is this your first year with Winstars, or have you been on the team for a couple years?
I've been on the Winstar teams for a few years, but this is my second year playing 14U.
Okay, and you're primarily a catcher, is that correct?
I mostly play second and short, so this is my first year playing catching.
Okay, so what was that like to learn the catching position in addition to all the other positions you play?
It was a lot different, but it's still really fun.
Okay, and what's it been like to adapt to Coach Babel in her first year, and you're still kind of finding your way as well?
Yeah, it's a little different than what we used to have, which was somebody who worked with like college level players, but it's still good coaching. It's not a big difference that it's like not good. It's still really good coaching.
Okay, and you had said that you feel Avery is kind of one of your leaders on the team and maybe somebody that you rely on. Can you explain that a little bit?
Just that she always has a good attitude. She always shows up ready to play ball, whether we're at practice, at a game. And as of right now, she's the only girl interested in catching. And, you know, and we would really like to utilize her in other positions as well. But she's told us that, but if you need me to catch, I'll be here to catch. So, yeah, I do look to her. She is a leader of the team, you know, always making sure that she's got her head in the game, trying to make sure the other players have their head in the game. So, yeah.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about the first tournament that you had then, the Stars and Strikes.
The first tournament wasn't like our best time because I felt like we weren't as prepared as we possibly could be. It was just kind of felt more last minute to everyone than being as prepared as some of the other teams who were coming to the tournament were.
Okay. And what were some of the things that maybe that you took away from that you thought, well, maybe I need to practice this a little bit, even if we don't have formal practices, maybe something I can do just in the backyard and practice myself?
Mostly just making sure I was paying attention to everything and not just only my pitcher throwing at me, and like making sure that everyone was where they were supposed to be and they knew where the runners on bases were and stuff like that.
Okay, and that's kind of turned around now with your first win. Tell us about getting that first win of the season.
I think everyone was just a lot more like excited and they felt like we could win instead of just thinking we were going to lose every game the whole season and every tournament we went to.
How do you think playing for the Winstars then helps you play for your team maybe at the middle school or maybe even helps you in other sports as well?
I think it brings in more skills and like even though they're completely different sports, it helps me bring certain things into the other sports that I could use.
Okay. Now, for the rest of the season, do you think you'll have a little bit more practice time in between?
Oh, yes. Yep. We now have a set schedule. We have 2 practices a week and 1 game a week. So I like that our practices outweigh our games. And we have it set up so that we have a practice the day before a game and the day after. So it really gives us an opportunity to look at where our areas of work are the most and then work on those in practice.
Okay, and have you kind of set any goals for yourself, something you'd like to see by the end of the season?
Just win more.
Very good. And when is your next game?
Our next game is actually tomorrow night.
Okay, and that's at St. Charles, is that correct?
Yep.
And then your home games, where do you play your home games in case people want to come out and watch you?
The Varsity Cotter Field.
Okay.
Yep, so we are there, and all of our games are always on Wednesdays. It just depends on whether we're home or away. But yep, so all of our home games are at the Varsity Cotter Field.
All right, sounds good. Well, thank you guys for joining us here today, and good luck on the rest of your season.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you for joining us here on our first episode of From the Dugout. We'll see you next week here on TV 25.